Good morning, everyone. Myself, Ravi Devra, CPE Coordinator, ICAI Muscat Chapter, and your host for today's event. Welcome to 74th Independence Day celebration, along with virtual CPE meeting on latest update on IFRS. We are honored to have with us HE Nasser Hamoud Al Rawai, ex-Deputy Chairman, State Audit Institution, Oman, as our chief guest. CA Mahavir Singhvi ji, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of India, as guest of honor. CA Atul Gupta ji, President ICAI, as guest of honor. CA Nihar Jammusaria ji, Vice President ICAI, as our guest of honor. And our guest speaker, CA Sajeev Singhal ji, Central Council Member ICAI. We welcome you all for today's event. To formally start the event, I request our chairman, CA Ramanand Prabhu, to address the members with welcome note. Over to you, Mr. Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Raviji. Good morning, Namaskar, Namaste, Vanakkam, Salaam Alaikum Rahmatullahi Wabarakatuh. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all for today's 74th Independence Day celebration and webinar, latest update on IFRS for members in the industry. I heartily welcome His Excellency Dr. Nasser Hamoud Al Rawai, ex-Deputy Chairman, State Audit Institution, Oman. Welcome you, sir. I heartily welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, CA Atul Kumar Gupta ji, President of ICAI. I also welcome CA Nihar Jambusaria ji, Vice President ICAI. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome our guest of honor, CA Mahavir Singhvi, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of India. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome our Central Council members, CA Sajeev Singhal ji, Speaker of the Day. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome Rajkumar Adukia ji, past Central Council member for the today's event. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome CA Davis Kallukaran, our founding member and past chairman, CA Awad Kishore ji, our past chairman, CA Mubin ji, our past chairman, and all invitees, guests and members of Muscat chapter, members of the overseas chapter, and my fellow managing committee members. I wish you each and everyone a very happy Independence Day. Warm welcome to all of you who present here to celebrate the most important occasion of India, the Independence Day. This is due to the great sacrifices of our leaders, both known and unknown, from all walks of the life. I also look forward to your active and wholehearted participation and continuous support from all of you to our institute for the professional development, growth and prosperity. Jai Hind. Without further ado, I request Raviji to take the proceedings of the meeting. Thank you. Over to you, Ravi.
Thank you, sir. Now I request CA Awad Kishore ji to formally welcome our chief guest, HE Nasser Hamoud Al Rawai, ex-Deputy Chairman, State Audit Institution, with a bouquet of flowers. Awad Kishore ji. Awad Kishore ji.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Awad Kishore ji, can you hear me?
Thank you. I think he lost the connection.
Yeah, so we welcome you, sir. Prabhu, you can take
yes, the charge. We welcome you, Ustadi. Thank you very much for being with us, and thank you for your continuous support. Thank you very much. Thanks, Raviji.
Yeah, thanks. Now I request CA Mubin Khan ji, our past chairman, ICAI Muscat chapter, to welcome the guest of honor, CA Mahavir Singhvi ji, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mubin Khan ji, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you, Ravi.
With a bouquet of flower.
CA Mahavir ji, we welcome you to our program. We are very pleased to see you amongst us. And I will introduce you maybe later. Ravi, do I need to introduce CA Mahavir ji now?
Just welcome.
Okay. So we welcome you to our program, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I request Sri Ramanan Prabhuji, Chairman ICAI Muscat Chapter, to welcome our guest of honor, Sri Atul Gupta ji. Prabhu bhai.
Namaste, Atul Gupta ji. It's a great honor and pleasure to welcome you to Muscat chapter and look forward to your continued support. Thank you very much, sir.
Atul Gupta ji. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now I request our CA Davis Kalukaran, past chairman ICAI Muscat chapter, and our founder chairman also as well, to formally welcome and guest of honor Nihar Jammu Siriaji, vice president ICAI Muscat chapter, with a bouquet of flower.
Good morning, CA Nihar Jambusadia. It's a great honor and privilege to welcome you to this August gathering and one of the webinars of the Muscat chapter, and especially on this auspicious day of the Independence Day of India. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Now I request Deepak Dixit. Deepak Dixit ji, are you there?
He's in attendee list. In fact, you have to take from there.
You just upgrade him.
Yes.
Deepak ji.
He's in attendee list.
I can Deepak is I cannot see him. Deepak ji, can you just raise your hand? Deepak ji, can you hear me?
I've done it, Ravi ji.
Yeah, you have done it.
Yes, yeah, I've done.
Okay. Deepak ji, are you there with me?
Yes, Ravi, I'm here.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Deepak Dixit ji, Chairman Election Committee, ICAI Muscat Chapter, to welcome our guest speaker, C. Saji Singhal ji, with formal virtual bouquet of flower.
Good morning, sir, and happy Independence Day. And we on behalf of the chapter, we extend you a very hearty welcome to this webinar, and we are very sure we'll be enriched with your knowledge today. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much for inviting.
Thank you. Now, to mark the celebration of the 74th Independence Day celebration, let's stand up for virtual flag hosting and national anthem. Can everybody see this screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
Sound is coming?
Oh.
Can you see my screen, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Now I request Sri Ashwini Savarikar ji, who is past chairperson, ICAI Muscat chapter, to sing us, to recite a poetic song and in her melodious voice. Ashwini ji, can you? Ashwini ji.
Thank you, Ravi ji. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I wish Happy Independence Day to everybody here. Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujala, Sujala, Adaya Shishikalam, Tasya Shamalam, Mataram, Vande Mataram. Jyotsna Pulakitaya Suhasini Sumadhuravashini Sukhadam Varadam Mataram Vande Jai Hind. Over to you, Ravi ji.
Now I request Jim Joseph, our treasurer, to formally introduce our chief guest, H.E. Nasser Hamoud Al-Rawai, ex-deputy chairman, State Institution. Mr. Jim. Yeah.
Thank you. Salam alaikum and very good morning to all. It's our privilege to have Excellency Nasser bin Hamoud Al-Rawahi as the chief guest of today. Excellency had quite a very early start with the State Audit Institution of Oman. A graduate from United States, Excellency Masters in Accounting from Florida Institute of Technology. Excellency was appointed as Deputy Chairman of the State Audit Institution in the year 2002, and he was retired recently only. Excellency was instrumental in developing strategic partnership with the Supreme Audit Institution of India, which is still continuing. Excellency always extended his support and patronage to our chapter. With his few words, I invite Excellency to address the gathering. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Good morning all. Assalamu alaikum. CA Atul Kumar, President, ICAI, Guest of Honor, CA Mahavir Singhvi, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of India, CA Nihar, Vice President, ICAI, CA Prabhu, CA Davis, and Managing Committee members of Muscat chapter, all members. First of all, I wish you all very happy 74th Independence Day. As you celebrate independence, we also have to give sense of responsibility in the world today. As the COVID-19 has disrupted the global economy, and we all, accounting, auditors, and finance professionals, had great challenge to overcome this situation and advice. your government regulators and all stakeholders to come out with a risk mitigation plan to overcome this pandemic and actively engage in no history of humankind. Those who celebrate, those who learn, regulate and improve most effectively have prevailed and sustained. Forward, ICAI and Muscat chapter, ICAI for closer cooperation and capacity building and mutual continuous cooperation. I just want to inform you that I have recently retired from government services more than 40 years, 18 years as a deputy chairman of state audit. Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity to be amongst you all today. Best wishes, stay safe and healthy.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your presence and to be with us today. We look forward to your continued support for the Muscat chapter as usual, and we will be engaged with you as we go along. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Now I request CA Manish Jain to introduce our chief guest of honor, CA Mahavir Singhvi ji, Joint Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs of India. Manish ji. Manish ji. Manish ji, unmute your mic.
Yes, I'm up. Good morning, friends. It's indeed a great pleasure to introduce such an outstanding personality who is a guest of honor today. CA Mahavir Singhvi ji is presently serving as Secretary at Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of India. He was appointed to this Indian Foreign Services in 1999. He has served in several important assignments in Ministry of External Affairs, including Joint Secretary, Central Europe, Director, Central Europe, Director, SAARC, BIMSTEC, Border for Connectivity, Director, E&SK, Director, Latin America, and Director, MER. His qualifications, besides Chartered Accountancy, he is also holding a postgraduate degree from University of Oxford, UK. He is also Bachelor's of Law from Delhi University. He is also holding Masters of Business Administration from Poddar Institute of Management. And he is also holding CS, ICWA. I do not know whether he has left any degree behind which he is not possessing. With these few words, I would like CA Mahavir Singhvi ji to say a few words and enlighten us.
Thank you, Manish ji. Excellency, Mr. Nasser Hamad Al-Rawai, CA Atul Kumar Gupta ji, President ICAI, CA Niyar Jambusaria ji, Vice President ICAI, CA Ramanand Prabhu ji, Chairman Muscat Chapter of ICAI, CA Salil Varghese ji, Vice Chairman, and other office bearers of ICAI Muscat Muscat Chapter, ladies and gentlemen. Let me extend my warm wishes and greetings to each one of you on this pious and joyous occasion of the 74th Independence Day of our beloved country. This day reminds us of the sacrifices made by our various founding fathers in giving us freedom. This is an occasion to honor their sacrifice and contribution in building our nations. But we used to have a very elaborate function for this occasion in the past, but this Independence Day is different. This is perhaps the first time when we are having a kind of a virtual celebration of the Independence Day and the flag hoisting. As you all know, the world is going through an unprecedented crisis, never seen in the living history and the memory of the humankind. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the world economy and has changed it significantly in various ways. The pandemic has caused serious disruptions all across the world, including in India. It has caused severe hardship to our people. The impact of the pandemic has been extremely sharp on the economy. It is estimated that there will be a contraction of nearly 5% in the global economy and a cumulative loss of the GDP of around 12 trillions in the entire world. Countries are, however, making efforts to resume economic activities. The government of India is also trying its best and making efforts to deal with the economic challenges posed by the pandemic and bring our economy back on the track. As you all know, Prime Minister has announced some time back a series of measures under the rubric of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, a stimulus package of nearly $270 billion was announced. The vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat stands on five pillars basically: economy, infrastructure, technology, demography, and demand. A successful assimilation of all these factors will be important and I would say crucial for achieving the rapid growth and development of our economy. The Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan is also aimed at instilling confidence in our business and industries, making our manufacturing globally competitive, integrating our agriculture and farmers with the global supply chains, and embracing both investment and technology. At the same time, private sector participation has also been given a big push in several areas. In addition, domestic stimulus and welfare measures, global engagements are also very, very important and critical to deal with this pandemic. It's time that we all prime ourselves to the emerging opportunities globally. We in the ministry has been active and will have been engaging in various ways in promoting India as an alternative manufacturing and innovation destination across the world. Our embassies and high commissions abroad are identifying export and investment opportunities for our business in various countries and are working closely with various stakeholders. We are also constantly engaged with global corporations looking to diversify manufacturing locations. The idea is to promote such industries with a competitive business environment to leverage India's domestic demand and bring investment and jobs to our countries. You would recall that India's Foreign Secretary, Sri Harshvardhan Shringla, had addressed ICAI members both in India as well as abroad some time ago. In his address, he said that ICAI chapters abroad are a critical part of our economic diplomacy and outreach. They also contribute substantially to showcasing and promoting our economic potentials abroad. He also announced that ICAI chapters abroad will be treated at par with the apex industry organizations such as FICCI, CII, ASSOCHAM, etc. This translates into a lot of responsibilities for ICAI chapters abroad and their members as well. There are a lot of expectations from you in terms of securing greater foreign investment, joint ventures, mergers and acquisitions, identifying export opportunities, etc. for our country. I'm sure you will come up to these expectations and help our country emerge more stronger as we leave the current challenges behind us. I thank you once again for inviting me to this 74th Independence Day flag hoisting function. A very happy Independence Day to all of you once again. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Prabhu Bhai. C. Prabhu ji.
Mute.
Prabhu ji, unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Raviji. Now I call upon Abdurrahman Nasser Al-Rawawi from Omani Chartered Accountant Association and business advisor with Grant Thornton. I would request him to have a few words.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. I wish you all a happy 74th Independence Day of India. It's my glad and my pleasure to be among you this morning. We as in Oman chapter, we are looking forward to always support the chapter and looking forward to contribute and to support this chapter, inshallah. Thank you and wish you all the best and happy 74th Independence Day again. And stay safe and stay at home.
Thank you very much, Abdurrahman Nasser Al-Rawawi, for your continued support to the Muscat chapter.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will stay in touch. Thank you very much. Over to you, Raviji.
Thank you, sir. Now I request C.A. Ramanand Prabhuji to formally introduce C.A. Atul Kumar Gupta ji, President ICAI Muscat chapter. ICAI. Over to you, Ramanand Prabhuji.
Thank you, Raviji. C.A. Atul Kumar Gupta has been elected as a President of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for the term 2020 and 21 on 12th February 2020. Having served the profession for the last 2 decades, he joined the Central Council ICAI in 2013, wherein he remained as a member for 2 consecutive terms, that is in 2013 and 2016, and again 2016 to 2019. He got elected as a Vice President in February 2019 for the term 2019 and 20. Gupta ji has been prolific speaker, guide, mentor, scholar, advisor on various occasions to government of India and all stakeholders. With this, I now kindly request our Honorable President to address the gathering.
Thank you, Mr. Ramananda Prabhu, the Chairman of ICAI Muscat chapter. At the outset, very respected His Excellency, Nasir Ahmad Al-Rawahi ji, our another esteemed guest from Oman, Abdul Rahman Al-Rawahi ji, the Honorable Vice President ICAI CA Nihar Jambusaria ji, our very distinguished colleagues from the profession and a person of eminence from the ministry, the Joint Secretary CA Mahavir Singhvi ji from the Ministry of External Affairs, our council colleague from India, Dr. Sanjeev Singhal ji, who is the distinguished speaker for the CPE event for the day, the former Central Council member CA Dr. Rajkumar Adukia ji, all the management committee members of the Muscat chapter of ICAI, all the distinguished galaxy of the former chairperson of ICAI Muscat chapter, and all the members. At the outset, very happy Independence Day, the 74th Independence Day of our country. And I also pray the Almighty forgive you all the blessings and the happiness on this occasion of the 74th Independence Day, and also well-being of each one of you in this COVID pandemic situation, and stay healthy, stay safe. Friends, as you are aware that, as rightly mentioned by CA Mahavir Singhvi ji, that this glorious day, this momentous occasion, we all are cherishing today is because of the sacrifice being made by the forefather of our country, the freedom fighters, and the these millions and millions of our forefathers and this, I will say, the freedom fighters of the country. And that today, because of them only, today we are celebrating this 74th Independence Day. I just wish to congratulate the Muscat chapter for being organized this program on this Independence Day, and also coupled with the CP events wherein Honorable Council Member Dr. Sanjeev Singhal ji will be addressing to the members at large. Friends, as you are aware that in the recent past, the ICAI took number of initiatives. We are all aware that the ICAI recently celebrated the 72nd Foundation Day of its being established on the 1st of July 1949. And in this recent past, we took number of initiatives to see that the members who are settled abroad are getting the due recognition or the support from the ICAI, and even they are doing a wonderful job as a brand ambassador of the profession. You are aware that the ICAI, which started establishing the new chapters and the representative office in the past, and now we have touched to the situation that the ICAI presence is available in the 53 overseas city in covering around 42 plus countries. So it is a proud moment for all of us that the ICAI presence is there today in the more than 40 plus countries, and the journey of transformation is going on. Apart from that, you are also aware that as rightly mentioned by Mahavir Singhvi, that recently the Ministry of External Affairs issued a letter to give a recognition to all the chapters through the embassies and the mission at par with the any apex body. But at the same time, as he rightly mentioned, that it gives a lot of responsibility on us, on our shoulder, to see that how we can support the various mission and the objective for the same. Friends, you are also aware that we have started the number of initiatives in this direction. You are aware that the NARIC has already recognized our qualification in the recent past. By virtue of that, our qualification is being treated at the RQF level 7. That is the master degree, may it be at the Middle East level, may it be at the European or the Canadian or the other jurisdiction. So when we are looking for the qualification benchmarking or the recognition for the qualification, it's a great milestone for each one of us, and specifically our colleagues who are living in the Middle East area. Friends, you are also aware that we are working on the international curriculum of the ICAI, and I'm aware that through the CBFS we have already the recognition available in the Muscat. We are already started the foundation classes in the Muscat, which will pave the way for the students of the Oman to get the international qualification, as we are being recognized at the second largest body of the world. Friends, I just wish to share with you that your initiatives as a brand ambassador of the profession are bringing a lot of laurel for the profession as well. But at the same time, I just wish to remind each one of you that when we are there in the Muscat, and I have the fond memory of my last visit to the Oman Muscat, wherein even I was there at the state state audit institution. We met the honorable chair of the state audit institution and the other very eminent personalities, including the His Excellency the Education Minister and at the CBFS as well. And we reiterated our position that we are there to support all the initiative of the Oman government, whether it is about the skill development, whether it is something about the new initiative, whether it is about the learning of the data analytics, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and so on. So I once again reiterate the honorable, our chief guest and all the colleagues who joined from the Oman, that the ICAI and the India is fully committed and dedicated to support all the initiative of the Oman government, whether it is about the learning, about the new scope of the new learning, or it is something about that having a cooperation. You are also aware that we meet the ICAI when in my last visit to the Oman, and we reiterated our position that in case any kind of a support we can provide to the organization ICAI for bringing the more and more investment in the Oman. So our endeavors will be there to see that the collaboration and the cohesiveness between the two countries, the various initiatives made with the learning quest, made with the bringing more and more investment, or supporting any other initiative of the Oman government, the ICAI and India is fully committed to support all the initiative in that particular direction. Today, on the 74th Independence Day of the country, it's a proud moment for all of us, and I believe that the efforts put in by the entire Muscat chapter in that particular direction, not only for India but also for the economy of the Oman, will be a great contribution, and the profession of the chartered accountants will be catalyst in the development of the economic development of both the sides, may it be the India or may it be the Oman. And I wish and I urge each one of you that you dedicate. So today we need to have a commitment that to rebuild after this corona pandemic, as given by Mahavir Singhvi, that there will be a correction in the overall economy. There will be the 10% or 5 trillion or whatever the economic losses will be there because of the corona pandemic. But we have to reboot. We have to rebuild the economies, may it be in India or may it be the Oman, by our dedicated efforts. My best wishes to all of you, and in case we can provide any kind of a support to the Omani institutions, may it be the CBFS, may it be the state audit authorities, or maybe ICAI or anywhere. So we are fully committed and dedicated to support all the initiatives at the Oman by the chapters as well as by the Oman government. Once again, congratulations to each one of you, and I convey my sincere thanks to the chief guest, His Excellency, for sparing his valuable time to join us in this celebration moment occasion.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request
Raviji, before you address, before you address, I just wish to once again reiterate my position that since we have the Mahavir Singhviji is available, and we have a special program of the ITEC, which is there in the Ministry of External Affairs, where we are providing the in-house training to the regulators of the foreign jurisdiction. So same way, once again, I offer this opportunity to request His Excellency that at any point of time, the ICAI and the Ministry of External Affairs could support this learning quest on the artificial intelligence, blockchain, or the data analytics for the audit profession of the Oman. So we will be very happy to support all the initiatives in that particular direction.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Atul Kumar Gupta ji. As we speak, His Excellency also conveyed that he will be also taking over the setting of the regulatory institute in Oman, and he look forward to your continued support. And and once we come to the normal, he is more than keen to visit to India and then take this initiative and relationship further. Thank you very much.
Please.
Thank you, sir. And now I request Saji Surendra ji.
Yeah, remove the screens, please. Na every time, like you remove you don't share the screens because it disconnect between all of us.
Yeah, okay, sir. So now I request Saji Surendra to formally introduce Vice President CA Nihar Jambusaria ji and invite him to address the member. Sajiv.
Thank you, Raviji. Thank you, Raviji. I take this opportunity to wish you all happy Independence Day of our beloved nation. It's my privilege and honor to introduce the Vice President of our ICAI, CA Nihar Niranjan Jambusaria. CA Nihar Niranjan Jambusaria is the Vice President of ICAI for the year 2021, wherein he is currently serving the third consecutive term, 1316, 1619, and 1922. He is qualified as a chartered accountant in 1984 and was in practice for nearly 27 years. Vice Chairman of all standing committees, including Executive, Finance, and Examination Committee. CA Nihar ji, ex officio of all non-standing committees and joint editor of ICAI Journal, the Chartered Accountant. Also, CA Nihar ji is the director of the ICAI Research Wing, ICAI Accounting Research Foundation and Extensible Business Reporting Language, India. With this, I asked CA Nihar ji to share few words.
Thank you, Saji. Good morning to everybody. His Excellency Nasir Hamoud Al-Ribahi, Honorable President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, C. Atul Gupta ji, Chairman Muscat Chapter, C. A. Ramananda, Vice Chairman, C. A. Sanil, Secretary, C. A. Sajiv, Treasurer, C. A. Jim, immediate past chairperson, C. A. Aswini, C. A. Mahavir Singhviji, today's speaker, C. A. Dr. Sanjeev Singhal, my past council colleague, C. A. Dr. Rajkumar Adukia, Ravi, and all the members of the Muscat chapter. My compliments and greetings on the 74th Independence Day for India, and my tribute to all the freedom fighters because of whose efforts we got this valuable independence and are cherishing it even today. Friends, our profession itself is independent in a sense. We are governed by a self-regulated body, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and that gives us another category of independence in terms of the area of our profession. Friends, as rightly mentioned, this pandemic has caused a lot of hardship, has caused human life, has cost us human lives. However, this pandemic has also presented unprecedented opportunities too. Although we regret that we lost so many lives and we need to struggle on health front, but at the same time, in the last 5 months, with the dynamic leadership at the Institute and at chapters, we were never feeling locked down. Probably we are better connected than ever before. And in last 5 months, we have interacted more number of times than the number of times we might have interacted physically. So far, used to visit Muscat, or you used to visit India, and that is how we used to interact with each other. But with this technology at our disposal, I think we are taking full advantage of technology and getting connected with each other and seamlessly exchanging ideas and views. I recall our Honorable President's call to the chapter heads when all of you came online and frankly and generously contributed to the call of the President in terms of what are your inputs on rebooting of economy, investment in India. On the other hand, we are also equally concerned, whatever help you need at Muscat chapter or any other chapter, the Institute is at your beck and call. With the initiative of the President and Mahavir Singhviji, the special status that has been awarded to us, I'm sure the chapter will take full advantage of this status, and you will get connected to Indian Embassy and to Muscat authorities and establish a kind of rapport which is required between the two countries. And we are always there to support you whenever you require us. At some point of time, some members raised a question that suppose because of localization on account of this very peculiar economic downturn, which has been caused all over the world, if some members would like to come back to India, then what would be the position? Let me mention that with open arms, our country is always prepared to welcome every member, whether you are in any part of the globe or whether you are in India. We will seamlessly connect with each other and see that it is win-win situation for everyone across the globe. All territorial barriers are not relevant today. With the use of technology, we will be able to really progress together. Although technology may cause some disruption, but at the same time, technology will offer more number of opportunities. And in India, on technology front, various training courses have been started. Many of the members from different chapters are also taking advantage of these courses. And I would suggest that if you choose any course, you are welcome and you can attend those courses. The registrations are open to every member across the world. And I think thanks to this seamless connectivity, that we are able to really make use of each other's skill. So with this, I once again wish a very happy Independence Day, and let us stay connected with each other. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was great to interact with you. Thank you.
It was our honor, sir, to welcome you here. Thank you very much, sir. With this, now we have Dr. Rajkumar Adukiaji with us. We have requested him in the very last moment, and so he agreed to join us for today's event. Let me introduce Mr. Dr. Rajkumar Adukiaji. His impressive qualification includes BCom, LLB, FCA, FCS, FCME, CFE, MBA, Diploma, LLB, DLL, DIPR, Diploma in, and PhD as well. So after this, there's no, I think, after Mahavir Singhviji, maybe he's another person who will have no qualification left to be honored. Okay, he is also author of around more than 200 books. He is also very active member of our past he was also past council member, and now I request him to join address the gathering for a few words. Dr. Arugya ji, welcome.
Thank you, Ravi, for the nice words. The distinguished guest and dear members, Happy Independence Day. I think we all as a chartered accountant, when I came to know about this program and how we can increase trade between Oman and India, and not only Oman, if we take the whole GCC, what Mahavir Singhvi ji was saying, 5% negative growth and $12 trillion loss. I think each one of us, if we collectively work, we have a power to recoup this. And if we work in that direction, how each business can increase their business and make more profit, how the whole economy can work. I am very, passionate about this. Each industry, how we can contribute. And I invite each member of Muscat chapter, if they have a passion to write down something, the book, which has more life value, then, and the knowledge which we gather cannot be described in the words. It is unimaginable. So with this brief remark, I would wish each one of you a great success and good health, good wealth, and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much,
Adugya ji.
And we look forward to your continued support, and we will be in touch base. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. My pleasure.
Yeah. Now this most awaited the virtual CPE meeting on the IFRS. Now I will introduce our guest speaker, CA Sanjeev Singhal, who is a Central Council member ICAI. He is also chairman of Sustainability Accounting Standard Board. He is vice chairman Accounting Standard Board ICAI. He is done his CA and he was having more than 20 years of experience. Has written over 14 books published by leading publishers, including Bharat Law House. He was a CA Professional Achiever Awards of 2014 for outstanding contribution of industry. Winner of Professor A.B. Ghosh Prize for the highest marks in economics groups paper. Government nominee as a NACAS and contributed towards resolving industry and professional interest issues. I welcome CA Sanjeev Singhal ji to present the lecture. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to you all, and my warm greetings on the Independence Day of our beloved country. Honorable CA Mahavir Singhvi ji, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, India. His Excellency Nasir Ahmad ji, the Honorable Vice President of the Institute, CA Nihar Jambusaria ji, the Honorable President of the Institute, Atul Gupta ji, the Chairman of the Muscat chapter, Ramanand Prabhu ji, Sunil Varghese ji, and the entire managing committee of the chapter, and a good friend of mine, past council member Dr. Rajkumar Adukia ji. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to present the latest IFRS updates for the members in industry. IFRS are alike, whether you are a member in industry or whether you're an auditor, because if you're a member in industry, you have to prepare the financial statements using IFRS, and if you are the auditor, then you have to ensure a compliance with the same and also ensure that your audit documentation is on the desired lines. So as we all know, there are 39 IAS or IFRS, and a large number of changes have happened in the last few years. Just to refresh the list of IAS and IFRS, IAS 1 deals with the presentation of financial statements. IAS 2 deals with inventories. There is no IAS 3, 4, 5, 6. They've all been superseded. There is IAS 7, which is on cash flow statement. There is IAS 8, which is on accounting policies and also deals with the prior period items, exceptional items, and changes in accounting estimates. Then we have IAS 10, because IAS 9 has been superseded. IAS 10 is on events occurring after the balance sheet date. IAS 11 used to be there on construction contracts, but now there's been IAS 11 and IAS 18 have been merged into IFRS 15, which is revenue from contract with customers. So IAS 11 has been withdrawn. IAS 12 deals with income taxes and also talks about the deferred taxes. There's no IAS 13, 14, 15. Then we have IAS 16, which is on property, plant, and equipment. IAS 17 used to be there on leases, but it's been recently superseded by IFRS 16 on leases. Then we have IAS 19. IAS 19 is on employee benefits. IAS 20 is on government grants. IAS 21 deals with the effect of changes in foreign exchange rate. IAS 23, borrowing costs. IAS 24 is on the related party disclosures. IAS 26 deals with accounting and reporting by the retirement benefit plans. IAS 27 deals with the separate financial statements, and 28 deals with accounting for investments in associates, in joint ventures. Then IAS 29 deals with the hyperinflationary economies. Then 31 has also been recently withdrawn. 32 deals with financial instruments. 33 is on earnings per share. 34 is on interim financial reporting. 36 is on impairment of assets. And 37 is on provisions. 38 intangible assets. 39 has again been withdrawn. And there's 40 investment property and 41 agriculture. In between, whichever standards I have not named, they've been superseded because IFRS have been issued. The only idea of giving this list is to say that this is the universe, and then we will talk about the updates. And I start with IFRS 1, which deals with the first time adoption of the IFRS. IFRS 2 is on share-based payments. IFRS 3 deals with business combinations. IFRS 4 is on insurance contracts. IFRS 5 is on non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations. IFRS 6 is exploration for an evaluation of mineral resources. IAS 7 is on disclosure of financial instruments disclosure. IFRS 8 deals with operating segments. IFRS 9 is on financial instrument. IFRS 10 is on consolidated financial statement. 11 is on joint arrangements. Earlier we used to use the word joint ventures, but now the term is joint arrangements, which encompasses joint ventures as well as joint operations. And IFRS 12 deals with the disclosures of the consolidation associates and joint ventures. So actually the consolidation associate and joint venture standard is covered over 5 standards: IAS 27, 28, IFRS 10, 11, and 12. Now financial instrument is covered by 2 standards, IAS 32 and IFRS 9. Then we have IFRS 13, which is on the fair value measurement, and IFRS 14 deals with the regulatory deferral accounts, and IFRS 15 deals with the revenue from contract with customers, as I said, which combines two earlier IAS, IAS 11 and IAS 18. And then we have IFRS 16, which is recently issued and recently amended also because of COVID-19, that deals with leases. And then we have IFRS 17 on insurance, on which a lot of work is also in progress. So this is a list of the 39 IAS and IFRS which we have today. I'm going to talk about now some of the recent updates, and these are applicable alike to the members in industry as well as members in practice. However, I'll focus more from the point of view of the members in industry. I've myself been in industry for almost 15 years, worked across various industries, and now I'm an assurance partner. I would like to share my screen. Just bear with me for 15 seconds. Okay. Is the screen visible? Can I ask the chapter people? Is it visible?
Yes,
Okay.
Sanjeev.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much. So now we are going to talk about latest updates on IFRS impacting members in industry. So let us talk about amendments effective from January 1, 2020 or later. And I believe that the reporting year in Oman will be the calendar year. In India, we follow the financial year, which is April to March. But internationally, the financial reporting standards are issued from a perspective of the calendar year. So these amendments are applicable in respect of accounting periods starting from January 1, 2020 or later. First is the definition of material. So there are amendments to IAS 1 which have been made, and then there is a definition of business has undergone change in IFRS 3, and then there are COVID-related rent concessions in IFRS 16, and the conceptual framework for financial reporting is also undergoing changes. And we'll talk about a few of the projects which are in progress as well. Now, if you have to talk about the amendments in January 1 first is the definition of material and why make the amendments. The old definition of material was focusing excessively on omissions and ignored giving immaterial information, which has also led to the preparer of financial statement giving immaterial information because the auditors would not like to take a chance on them. And the wording of the definition of materiality differed from the conceptual framework. The earlier definition read as follows: omissions or misstatements of items are material if they could. So the word was could, which gave an impression that there is a requirement to disclose maximum information, including those with the remote possibility, because could, so anyone would apply his touch of imagination and will have to see whether it could impact individually or collectively, influence the economic decisions that the users. So what was mentioned was users. It was not mentioned whether these should be the primary users of financial statement or they should be the secondary users of the financial statement. So the definition was omissions or misstatement of items are material if they could individually or collectively influence the economic decisions that users make on the basis of the financial statement. And then it said materiality depends on the size and nature of the omission or misstatement judged in the surrounding circumstances. The size or nature of the item or a combination of both could be the determining factor. So while it says that materiality depends on size and nature of omission, it also said could and it also said users. And in practice, if I have to say that how do we define materiality? See, materiality is fundamental to the entire concept of accounting as well as auditing. The way as an auditor I look at materiality, I will base materiality on either of the three parameters, either on the basis of the assets or on the basis of the revenue or on the basis of the profits. And there is no free choice. Actually, it depends upon if the company is in a construction stage, then normally we base our materiality on assets because there is no P&L. But if the company is operating and is not having stable profits, say for example, during this COVID-19 times, profitability could be severely impacted. So then we can take revenue as a basis for materiality. However, if the profits are stable, company is operating and profits are stable, then profitability is normally taken as the basis for deciding the materiality. And what amount is considered as a materiality also varies from company to company and also varies from the auditor to auditors. Normally, as an auditor, I'll take a materiality, and that's the same for the preparer of financial statement as well. I'll normally take it between 0.5% to 1% of the revenue. Now, what it means? Normally, if the risk is higher, I will go on a lower side of the materiality, and the risk is lower, then I'll go on a higher side of materiality. Assuming the risk is lower, we can take 1% of the revenue as a material item for the purpose of our discussions. Now, suppose the revenue of the company is $100 million. 1% of that comes to $1 million. So $1 million becomes the performance materiality or the planning materiality. Then we come down to tolerable error. Tolerable error is up to what level of error can be tolerated in the financial statement. Tolerable error, which we in abbreviation also call as TE, TE is normally 50% to 75% of the planning materiality. Let us assume it to be 50%. And again, it depends on the risk. If I take TE as 50%, then if 1 million was my planning materiality, then 500,000 will be my tolerable error. And then I come to SAD. SAD is the summary of all the differences. And normally it is taken as 5% of the planning materiality. So if 1 million, if 1 million was my planning materiality, then $50,000 will be my SAD. Now what it means, if there is an error which is below SAD, it could be ignored. If there's an error between SAD to the tolerable error, again it could be ignored, but by giving information to those charged with the governance. However, if the cumulative errors exceed tolerable error, then as a preparer of financial statements, you must rectify those errors. Otherwise, the auditor is going to qualify the audit report. Now, this is a benchmark which could be used, which is used by the auditor, but certainly this comes handy to the preparer of the financial statement as well. So while the existing definition talked about the size and nature, but it also focused on, or it also influenced the preparer to even include the immaterial information because of the use of the word could and the users. Now see what is happening. The definition is changed. Paragraph 7 says, information is material if omitting, misstating, or obscuring it. So earlier it was could. Obscuring it could reasonably be expected. So it could reasonably expected to influence decisions that the primary users of general purpose financial statement make on the basis of those financial statements which provide financial information about a specific reporting entity. And it is effective from January 1, 2020, and the earlier application is permitted. So now the word obscuring has been brought into para 7 from para 30A of IAS 1. More guidance has been added, and now the definition of materiality is aligned with the conceptual framework. This is a much better definition of materiality, which is given now. Moving on, another change which has been done is in IFRS 3, and that relates to the definition of business. There are clarifications which have been provided on the definition of a business with the objective to assist entities to determine whether a transaction should be accounted for as a business combination or as an asset acquisition. So to decide whether it's a business combination or an asset acquisition. And how do you decide? So the additional information which is given is that goods and services provided to the customers. Now this has been included in the definition of business, and returns in the form of lower cost and other economic benefits have been excluded from the definition. Because when you buy a fixed asset, when you buy a new plant, this could also give you lower cost, but that does not mean that you are acquiring a business, you are acquiring an asset. Additionally, an optional fair value concentration test, which permits a simplified assessment of whether an acquired set of activities and assets is a business or not, has given, and more guidance and examples have been added on these aspects. Now, what does the definition of business say? It says that to be considered a business, an acquired set of activities and assets must include, at a minimum, an input and a substantive process that together significantly contribute to the ability to create outputs. And remember, business can exist even when all the inputs and processes needed to create outputs are not included. What matters is whether the set of activities and assets are capable of being conducted and managed as a business. What needs to be seen is whether it is capable or not. So even if some raw material is not there, even if a machinery is not there, it can always be acquired. If you have the people, if you have the know-how, you can still, be acquiring what is called a business. Now, assessment of business will be based on the characteristics of the assets and activities required and not on the objective of the acquisition. For example, when we said that purchase of new manufacturing equipment may be made with the motive of lower cost, but it may not be assessed as a business, because we need to see whether it is a characteristic of the, what is the characteristic of assets and activities? Is it capable of being conducted and managed as a business? A mere plant, a mere manufacturing equipment is not capable of being conducted and managed as a business. You need people, you need processes, you need funds to be, so that you can run it as a business. And again, this amendment is effective from January 1, 2020, and earlier application is allowed. Moving on, and I'll be spending some more time on this, which is on IFRS 16. This is a very recent amendment and this was necessitated by the COVID-19, and all of us have suffered from the COVID-19 related issues. The whole world, because of this global pandemic, has been impacted. So if I have to see IFRS 16, it talks about lease modification, and a lease modification could lead to a separate lease or may not lead to a separate lease. And there's a concept of variable lease payment in IFRS 16. And if the variable lease payments are based on an index or rate based, or if they are sales based, then different treatments are given. Now the issue is that a modification is to be accounted for as a separate lease if it increases the scope of the lease, but that should happen by adding the right to use one or more underlying assets, and the consideration for the lease increases by an amount which is commensurate with the standalone price for the increase in scope. So if a building is added and a standalone price is charged, and if a floor is added, standalone price is charged, then yes, it will lead to be considered as a separate lease. And if no, then we will apply the lease modification accounting model. And if it's a separate lease, it needs to be accounted for like any other lease. And if it is not a separate lease, then the consideration will be allocated between the lease and the non-lease component, and one will have to determine the revised lease term and remeasure the lease liability by discounting the revised lease payments using a revised discount rate. If there's a modification which decreases the scope of the lease, suppose earlier there was 1 lakh square feet area which was taken on lease, now it's been reduced to 75,000. Then one will have to decrease the carrying amount of right of use asset to reflect partial or full termination, and any gain or loss will be recognized in P&L. And if there is any other modification, say the lease rentals or changes, then we'll have to make a corresponding adjustment to the carrying amount of right of use asset, and you have to adjust the lease liability to reflect the remeasurement. Now what has happened? Now because of COVID-19, particularly the Middle East is known for its hospitality business, for real estate business, and for oil and gas business. Now think what happens to the hospitality and the real estate business. Obviously the demand for the same has gone down. The rentals have been renegotiated, and there's a panic among the lessees also, because when their businesses are closed down, they have approached the lessors to provide the rent concessions to them. Now, IFRS 16 contains requirements which already lay down the accounting for change in the lease payments, including the rent concessions. However, all of us know that these are challenging times. People want to focus on business rather than on mere accounting. So lessees have identified potential difficulties in assessing whether COVID-19 related rent concessions are lease modifications. And in some cases, they have concluded also that these are lease modifications, but then accounting would have become very complex. So to address these issues, IASB issued these amendments to IFRS 16. And I was in one of the SAFA conference where I was a speaker. The vice chair of the IASB, Sue Lloyd, was also there. And she also mentioned that already the standard caters to this requirement, but since the stakeholders wanted this clarification and wanted this relaxation, that's why this has been brought out, and that too at such a fast pace that's been done. The distinguishing feature is that the relief has been given only to the lessees and not to the lessors. Now people asked why. Then what IASB felt is that there is no difference from, as far as the lessors accounting is concerned, between the earlier IAS 17 and the new IFRS 16. What has changed is the accounting for the lessees. For operating leases particularly, now operating leases are also treated at par with the finance leases, and these are being recognized as a right of use assets, and a corresponding liability is shown on the liability side. Now, these are the operating leases from a lessee's perspective, where the accounting has gone a significant change. By no means a lessor has not been impacted. A lessor has been impacted because of COVID-19, but it is more so the person who is paying. The person who is receiving normally is still treated as in a better capacity to bear it. However, so this was felt that relief needs to be given to the lessees. So what's been done is that a practical expedient has been introduced for the lessees. Para 46A has been introduced, and Para 46 provides an option. Remember, it's an option, it's not a compulsion. That as a practical expedient, you may say that a particular rent concession, we will not assess whether it's a lease modification or not, and so we will not account for it as a separate lease. We will account for these rent concessions as if they are not lease modifications, and will simply treat them as variable lease payments. What it means, I'll explain with the help of examples as well as the journal entries. Para 46B lays down the conditions. It says that practical expedient given in 46A can be applied to rent concession occurring as a direct consequence of COVID-19 pandemic only if all of the following conditions are met. One is that revised consideration is substantially less, same or less. If it is more, then obviously it can't be the impact of COVID-19. Because of COVID-19, no one is going to pay a higher rent. And reduction in lease payment affects payments originally due on or before June 30th. Now people say, why this June 30th? Why not it is December 20, or why not March 21, or why not December 21? So earlier in the exposure draft, the dates which were proposed were December 20. But then it was felt that this pandemic actually may last long. And then again, there'll be a need to revise the standard. So that is how this date was changed to June 30th, 2021. And the third condition is that there is no substantive change to the other terms and condition of lease. So please remember, these are all and conditions and not or condition. So it is not that only one of the condition is to be met. Since the word is all of the following condition, so all the three conditions are to be simultaneously met if the benefit of this practical expedient is to be availed. Now let us see what are the disclosures which needs to be made. A lessee which applies these practical expedient shall disclose the fact that the practical expedient applied to all rent concessions which meet the conditions, and if they are not applied to all rent concessions, if they are applied to a particular class, then the information about the nature of the contracts to which the practical expedient is not applied, and the amount recognized in P&L for the reporting period to reflect the changes in lease payments to which the lessee has applied the practical expedient in paragraph 46A, which we just now talked about. Now, what is the effective date? This is effective from the annual period beginning on or after June 1, 2020. In India, we have done it April 1, 2020. Earlier application is also permitted if the financial statements have not been authorized for the issue at 28th May. So suppose December 2019 financial statements are not yet authorized for issue at 28th May. So if a company wants to avail this benefit in the financial statement which are ending on December 31, 2019 and which are authorized for issue on 29th May or at a later period, even for those financial statements, this benefit could be availed. Although I am of the view that these conditions may not be met therein because by that time, COVID-19 has still not struck. Transition provisions, the para C20A and C20B deals with the transition provisions and lays down that the retrospective effect, the cumulative effect of initially applying the amendments should be recognized as an adjustment to the opening balance of the retained earnings or other component of equity as may be appropriate. And in the reporting period in which a lessee first applies COVID-19 related rent concessions, a lessee is not required to disclose the information. required by IAS 8 para 28F. Now, if the lessee does not opt for practical expedient, then what is the accounting? Then one will have to see whether it's a lease modification or not. If it's a lease modification, it will have to be accounted for as a lease modification. Now let us see the journal entries which needs to be passed. And I will discuss 4 scenarios for discussing these journal entries. Let us look at the basic fact patterns. Let us assume on 31st March 2020, a lessee has a lease liability of CU 2000. This could be dollar, this could be pound, this could be Deutschmark, this could be yen. The contract requires monthly lease payment of 100. And let us assume interest is 20, say dollar per month, and a reduction of 100 in one month will be followed by an increase of 100 in later month. So that will impact only the timing. So now let us see 4 situations. First situation, there is no relief, no change in the lease payments. Second situation, there is a complete waiver for 1 quarter. Third situation, there is only a cash flow deferral. In this quarter, no rentals are demanded, and in the next quarter, the rental for this period also needs to be paid. And fourth situation, there's a partial deferment and a partial waiver. Let us look at the first situation. First situation is pretty simple. Whatever entries we pass today, lease liability to cash or bank will be $300 and interest is 60. So the lease liability will be enhanced by 60. So lease liability was 2,000, 300 has been paid and 60 interest accrues. So it becomes 1760 on 31st May 2020. In the next quarter, again, lease liability will be debited by 300. Amount will be paid as 300. Interest will be 60, which will be credited to lease liability. And now this will become 1760 minus 300 plus 60. So the amount becomes 1520. Now let us come to the second situation where we are saying if there's a complete waiver of the lease payments, then what happens? In that case, lease liability is reversed to the extent of 300 and credit is given to P&L as a negative variable payment. And interest is debited to P&L and credited to lease liability. So again, it comes to 1760, but this time 300 comes as a gain in P&L. And the lease liability on 31st May will be 1760. In the next quarter, the normal entries, which are same as we passed in the first quarter of the first situation, will be passed, or which are also equivalent to the second quarter of the first situation. Lease liability 300 to bank and P&L to lease liability for interest 60, and the closing liability is same as 1520. So in the first and second situation, the closing liability for both the quarters is same. However, in the second situation, a gain of 300 is recognized in P&L. Now let us look at the third situation when cash flows are deferred. So in the first quarter, no payment is made. So no entry of lease liability to P&L will be passed, and interest will be accrued 60 and lease liability will be credited. So the earlier lease liability was 2000 plus 60. So it becomes 2060 on 31st May. In the second quarter, earlier quarter payment is also made. So 600 is paid. So the entry becomes lease liability to bank 600 and interest to lease liability of 60. So now it will be 2060 minus 600 and plus 60. So again, the closing liability comes to 1520. Fourth situation, when there's a partial deferral and a partial forgiveness or a waiver, let us assume the lessor says that I will charge 160 per month in the next quarter. Charge 160 into 3, which comes to 480 instead of 600 for 2 quarters. So waiver is 120. So in the first quarter, a journal entry will be lease liability to P&L 120 for the amount of waiver, and interest remains 60. So lease liability will be increased by 60. So the closing lease liability becomes 2000 minus 120 plus 60. So it becomes 1940. In the next quarter, the amount that will be paid will be 160 into 3, which is 480. So lease liability to cash or bank 480, and P&L interest will be debited as 60 and lease liability will be credited as 60. So the lease liability will be 1940 minus 480 plus 60. So it becomes 1520. So these are the four situations. Probably all possible situations are covered when there is no change, when there's a complete waiver, when there's only a deferral, and when there is a partial waiver and a partial deferral. Now, let me spend some time on covering the other amendments or the other work which is in progress. Now, the amendments which are effective from January 1, 2020, the conceptual framework for the financial reporting. The conceptual framework has undergone a change. A comprehensive set of concepts for financial reporting in March 18 was done, which sets out the objectives of financial reporting, the qualitative characteristics of useful financial information, a description of the reporting entity and its boundary, definition of an asset, a liability, equity, income, and expenses, criteria for including assets and liabilities in financial statement, and guidance on when to de-recognizing them, measurement basis, and concepts and guidance on presentation and disclosures. Moving on, there is a deferral of some of the amendments which were there, and the idea is that because of the COVID-19, ISB wanted to give relief and didn't want to push on the implementation from January 1, 2020. So in January 1, 2020, there was an amendment which was made on classification of liabilities as current or non-current. So it had clarified a criteria in IS1 for classifying a liability as non-current, where the requirement for an entity is to have the right to defer settlement of the liability for at least 12 months after the reporting period. And now, due to COVID-19 pandemic, the effective date has been deferred by 1 year for annual reporting periods beginning on or after 1st January 2023. So otherwise, it would have been effective from 2022. Now it is 2023. Then the amendment to IFRS 17 was, IFRS 17, as we know, was issued in May 2017. So already 3 years, but IASB has been undertaking a number of activities to support the implementation of IFRS 17. It's a very big standard, and a transition resource group has also been established, and some amendments have been carried out in IFRS 17, and including a 2-year deferral. So now this will be applicable from 2023. And because of this, in India also, actually, we're not being able to make it applicable to the insurance companies. They're insisting that we'll go after IFRS 17 has been globally made effective. So if it is January 2023, maybe in India it may come from April 23 or maybe April 24, depending upon what position IRDA takes. Then there are few narrow scope amendments to IFRS. Say, for example, in IFRS 3 business combination, there's an update in reference to the conceptual framework for financial reporting. Also, although this does not change the accounting requirement for business combination. Then there's an interesting amendment in IS 16, property, plant, and equipment, which prohibit a company from deducting the cost of PPE amounts received from selling the items produced while the company is preparing the asset for its intended use. See, it is common that if the plant is in trial production stage, if something is sold, some amount is recovered, then that used to be reduced from the capitalization cost of PPE, but now that's been restricted. Rather, this will be treated as sales, and the related cost will be there in P&L. I mean, to my mind, the earlier treatment was also good enough, but now that's the change which has been made to IS 16. Then the other amendments are amendments to IS 37 provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent assets, which specify which cost a company can include while assessing whether a contract will be loss-making or not. Then there are annual improvements where there are minor amendments to IFRS 1, IFRS 9, IS 41, and some of the illustrative examples in IFRS 16. These all are effective from January 1, 2022. Moving on, a very important project is in progress, which is on the primary financial statements. See, we have a P&L, we have a balance sheet, we have a cash flow statement. The idea was that can we introduce some subtotals and categories in the P&L? See, for example, normally we talk about operating profit, we talk about EBITDA, but the financial statements actually do not permit that kind of a classification. And can we also align it to the cash flow statement saying operating profits, investing profits, and the financing activities related profits? So can we do that? Now that is what the ISB is proposing. They are proposing a new standard on general presentation and disclosure, and these will replace the relevant requirement in IAS 1. For example, IAS 1 talks about that what should be there in P&L, what should be there in balance sheet and cash flow. So those requirements will go out from IAS 1, and this new IFRS will become applicable, general presentation and disclosure. And as of now, a massive outreach is going on in India also. We did some outreach programs on the same. Now, what it also talks about that some non-GAAP measures, see, for example, the management discussion and analysis contains some information which is not based on GAAP, which is not based on the generally accepted accounting principle, and we call it non-GAAP measures. So now there is a proposal that there should be a reconciliation for the same in the notes. The management performance measures should be given in the financial statements. The ISB feels it will bring transparency. In my own view, probably that may not be a good idea to include non-GAAP measures in the financial statements. In cash flow statement, there are some targeted improvements, which frankly speaking in India, we have done it on day one. They've been proposed now by the International Accounting Standard Board. So the three subtotals which are proposed to be added in a P&L are: number one is operating profit, number two, operating profit and share of profit or loss of integral associates and joint ventures, and third is profit before financing and income tax. So the P&L will be bifurcated into three categories: operating, investing, and financing. So this is how a future P&L could look like if the standard is approved in its current format. See, for example, revenue, other income, changes in inventories of finished goods, raw material, employee benefits, depreciation, amortization, professional fee, and we may come to operating profit. So this will be the operating P&L. And then we'll talk about share of profit or loss of integral associates and joint ventures. So we'll get operating profit and income and expenses from integral associates and joint ventures. And then we'll get the investing profits by way of share of profit or loss of non-integral associates and joint ventures and the dividend income. And then we get the financing profit or loss, expenses from financing activities, unwinding of discount and pension liability, and then we get PBT, and then we reduce income tax and we get PAT. So this in a way, gel well with the cash flow. However, there is no EBITDA. There is no EBITDA which is proposed here. To my mind, EBITDA is also a very useful term and a very commonly used term. And the other pitfall I see is this other income. Other income is normally a non-operating income. The non-operating income we are mixing with the operating income. So to my mind, this may still require some more amendments. ISB is also proposing that, they are saying that the investors are concerned that the companies are disclosing too much details, thereby they obscure the material information. So ISB has proposed that an analysis of operating expenses by nature and by function should be given, which will strengthen the current requirement. And we should require line items, including goodwill, principles for aggregation and disaggregation should be specified. Unusual income and expenses should be separately, defined. And then, there is a tendency to put everything else into the head others. So there could be a requirement for grouping the dissimilar and immaterial items rather than putting them into the others label. In the cash flow statement again, see, currently IS 7 gives a free choice that interest paid could be classified as operating or financing, whereas in India we take it as financing. Interest received could be treated as operating or investing. Dividend received could be treated as operating or investing, and dividend paid could be treated as operating or financing. Whereas in most entities, interest paid is financing, interest received is investing, Dividend received is investing, and dividend paid is financing. So now the proposal is on those lines. I'm happy to share that in India, we already have these requirements. We have removed this curtailment of option, which was there in IAS 7. And for banks, of course, and NBFCs, it will be different. For banks, interest will be, interest paid and interest received will be an operating activity. Dividend received could also be operating, but dividend paid would certainly be a financing activity. Talking about the management performance measures, the non-GAAP measures. So commonly the management uses terms like adjusted profit, adjusted EBITDA, adjusted EBIT, adjusted operating profit, etc. The IASB proposal is that disclosure should be included in the notes of subtotal or income and expenses that are used in the public communications. Say, for example, in the investor presentation, management uses normalized profit or adjusted profit. Say, for example, they will say, our normal profit was so much, and because of COVID-19, the reduction in profit is so much, so the adjusted profit is so much. Now there's a proposal that there should be something given in the notes to the financial statement, whereby this kind of a reconciliation would be given, and that will be helpful for the investors. Another project which is going on is on the goodwill, whether goodwill should be impaired or goodwill should be amortized. We know right now, if I have to look at the impairment, on an average, recently in the World Accounting Forum, with the World Standard Setter meeting last year, which was held in London, a research paper was published whereby the observations are that it takes anywhere between 50 years to 100 years to fully impair the goodwill. So there are various practices around impairment of goodwill. So the idea was that can we or should we introduce amortization of goodwill? So this is a project in process. So the discussion points are, can the impairment test be made more effective, which looks difficult? Should goodwill be amortized? The view is that no, retain the impairment only model, but simplify the calculation of value in use. And there are other topics which are being discussed, like the company should present on their balance sheet the amount of total equity excluding goodwill. See, today, the equity includes goodwill. If the equity is, say, $100 billion, and out of which 60 billion is goodwill, then the actual tangible equity is only $40 billion. So should we introduce a line item whereby we give the total equity excluding goodwill, but do not change the range of intangible assets which are recognized in a business combination. Then IASB is also undertaking a comprehensive review of IFRS for the SME standard. And this is a work in progress where they are thinking whether there should be a simplified IFRS standard approach versus an independent standard approach. Then there are various disclosure initiatives, the transition requirement and the effective date of amendment to IAS 1, presentation of financial statement, IFRS practice 2, making materiality judgments. As of now, the IASB board has tentatively decided to require an entity to disclose in the period of first application of the amendments material accounting policy information for that period, and apply the amendments to IAS 1 to annual reporting periods beginning on or after 1st January 23, while allowing the early application. And IASB also plans to issue the amendment to IAS 1 and IFRS practice statement 2 in the fourth quarter of 2020. And the effective date of amendment to IAS 8 is 1st January 2023, and the early application is permitted. IFRS taxonomy is also expected to be published in August 2020, which will be updated for COVID-19 related rent concessions. Then there is a project on IAS 21, effect of changes in foreign exchange rate, where the amendment that is proposed is that to define exchangeability and a lack of exchangeability, and specify how an entity determines spot exchange rate when a currency lacks exchangeability. Because on the balance sheet date, we are required to translate the monetary items into the closing rate, and similarly, on the transaction date also, we are required to translate using the date of exchange, the rate of exchange on the date of transaction. No specific exemptions have been given for a first-time adopter from these proposed amendments, and IESB as of now looks that it will allow early application. And of course, the exposure draft will be issued first in the due course. Then on the extractive activities, this is another project in progress. ISB has discussed the research finding to see whether to replace or amend IFRS 6, which is on exploration for an evaluation of mineral resources. As of now, it looks that they will amend it prospectively from the beginning of the annual reporting period in which it first applies the amendment, and rather than restating the comparative information. Then the board has also considered the research finding on how an entity would account for activities within the scope of IFRS 6 in the absence of that standard by applying IAS 16 and IAS 38. Then on the management commentary, the discussions are going on, and it is likely that an exposure draft may come in February 21. So this is all, this is actually the entire spectrum of the amendments which are there. This was massive. I mean, too many amendments. ISB, there are annual improvements project, and I tried to cover a very, very wide spectrum from my side, and maybe I've missed something because, but from my side, I tried to cover almost everything that is a work in progress and that's been amended recently. And all these are to be carried out by the preparers of financial statement. Of course, that goes without saying. So with this, I would like to thank the Muscat chapter from the core of my heart, and I would like to wish all the fellow citizens of India a very, very happy Independence Day. And we must work towards ensuring that we make India an Atmanirbhar Bharat. And Atmanirbhar Bharat, of course, doesn't mean that we make it a closed economy. Atmanirbhar Bharat simply means that we become self-reliant, we become a global economic power, and fulfill the dreams of our Honorable Prime Minister to become a $5 trillion economy in the target that he has set for all of us. And during COVID-19, I would also request you to stay healthy and stay safe. It is nice to see smiling faces of Manish, of Ramanand Prabhuji, Ravi, and you know, I'm actually overwhelmed with this joy. This COVID has been a blessing in disguise. Of course, we feel pain for the loved ones whom we have lost during this pandemic. At the same time, this has shown us the new ways of living. Being the chairman of Sustainability Reporting Standard Board, I live sustainability every day. We know what kind of carbon emissions we have done. And we know that the earth was taking a break during this time. The CO2 emissions were down to the pre-industrial levels. And we all know what we need to do to maintain the temperature, that we don't allow the temperature to rise 2 degrees from here. Because if that happens, then there is no future for us. So we need to reduce the CO2 emissions. So if we can, you know, implement this work from home, or if we implement this digital agenda in our life, I think we'll be doing a human service to the Mother Earth. The Mother Earth belongs to all of us. And as of now, we consume our entire Earth annual resources by August, and normally by August 15. So in 7.5 or 8 months, we consume the full year resources. So what we actually do is we borrow from future year. And when we borrow from future year, we are borrowing from future generations. So that must stop. And then we need to reverse this cycle so that we are leaving enough for the future generations. So our Sustainability Board has also launched various initiatives. We are also starting some programs on business responsibility reporting, for which we'll keep you updated. So from the core of my heart, thanks a lot to the Muscat chapter for giving me this opportunity to speak before all of you. Thank you very much. Over to the organizer.
Sir, Mr. Abdul Rahman has asked one question. Can we take one question, sir? Is it time, if time permits?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Mr. Abdul Rahman, can
Sure.
you unmute yourself, sir?
Yes, hi.
Hi,
Yes,
Mr. Rahman.
Yeah.
Please go ahead, sir.
I think there is a misunderstanding. I didn't ask for a question.
So this is what he says.
In the question. Okay, no, maybe.
No,
okay.
no, EBITDA. No, it's okay. It's only clarification. That's fine. Yeah. Okay.
That's okay now. So okay, that's it, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Rahman. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, okay, sir. So now let me conclude this event with the. Now I request CA Davis Kalukaranji, our founder chairman, ICAI Muscat chapter, to present e-certificate to our CA Sanjeev Singhal ji. Davis Kalukaranji.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
I just had a small question
Yes,
regarding EBITDA. Is it just for oil and gas companies or?
So there was no mention of
Abdurrahman, all my questions that I have written, it's not to you only, it's to everyone. So Hassan, don't re-ask again. They will answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have said EBITDA, EBITDA, which is earning before interest, depreciation, tax, and amortization. So what I said is that's not being proposed in the revised primary financial statement. I don't know whether the question was directed to the word EBITDA. As far as EBITDA, I have not used this term. So actually, I'm not able to understand the question if the question is meant for me.
Okay.
No, I think the question is for EBITDA only, Dr.
Yeah. Okay. If we are talking about EBITDA, then EBITDA is not proposed, and IFRS is general purpose. So they are not industry specific. So whatever applies for one industry will apply for all industry, including oil and gas.
Thank you.
True. Thank you.
Hope that answers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Now I request CA Davis Kalukaranji to present a formal certificate to felicitate our learned
Speaker of the day.
Speaker of the day, CA Sanjeev Singhal ji. Mr. Davis.
Sanjeev sir, you had done a wonderful job with this IFRS updates. It was excellent and very informative. So on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India Muscat chapter, I have great honor to present a sort of memento to you on our behalf. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am honored.
Thank you, sir. So now I request.
Thank you, Mr. Davis, for all your support.
Okay,
Muscat chapter.
Thank you, Ramnath. And
so there is a comment.
Members, you all deserve excellent support, and we congratulate you for this hosting this.
Thank you, Mr. Davis, for all your guidance and support always.
Davis, you would like to say something to the members, sir? Please, if we want to hear from you, sir.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. I'm quite surprised that on this Friday morning we have around 70 participants for this CPE session, and it's an occasion. We are all happy that we are celebrating the 74th Independence Day, and the Muscat chapter has organized this event to celebrate the Independence Day. We have been having excellent support from all the members in carrying out all our activities during the past 10, 12 years of our existence. And I never had any occasion to see any difference of opinion or any rift between members. Or we have been having a harmonious relationship with everyone, and that is the hallmark of Muscat chapter. I congratulate all the past chairmen and all the past committee members for holding on to these sentiments all the years. So it's. So thank you very much. Thank you, Raman Prabhu, for giving me an opportunity. And I hope that, we will scale greater heights in the years to come. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Davis ji. We will take your words and, make all our efforts to take the Muscat chapter to the new heights. Thank you very much, Davis ji.
Thank you.
Now I request our past chairman, CA Mubin Khan ji.
Yes, sir, Ravi.
To recite a poem. Apart from his qualification, he is also a very excellent poet. So I request him that in the last moment, I requested in just 10 minutes before, and he prepared something for us. So let's hear from him. Yeah, Mominji.
Yes, Ravi, thank you very much. Actually, you also asked me to give vote of thanks.
No, sir, vote
So
of
we
thanks
conclude.
The vote of thanks will be given by the Sajivji because as
Okay, good, good. So actually, I just wanted to add, I was very happy first to see CA Mahavir ji, because he really makes chartered accountants and all the finance professionals proud that, you know, the role which he's playing, like away from the typical accounting and finance. Like I saw that he is also in FATIF team, and I also happen to be in the FATIF team, which is preparing for next FATIF assessment for Oman. So we chartered accountants, like I'm really proud to say that we are trained, we finance professional, when we are given the challenges, any challenge we can handle. I also would like to specifically point out that I think Muscat chapter was the first ever overseas chapter. We organized an event which was not about accounting, IFRS, or any like other topic related to finance only. Rather, it was an investor meet. So, like we brought more than 90 companies from India to explore the business opportunities in Oman, and we also took a delegation of Omani businesses to India. We had actually in 2018, rather in 2017, September 2017, we organized a program of like with Omani delegation with in association with CII in Mumbai, and then we organized a program with the Omani delegation in Delhi in association with FICCI. And then like we organized our final program here in which a Minister of State level of official from India came. And we were very pleased that after that program, when Honorable Minister of Commerce Suresh Prabhuji came, C.S. Suresh Prabhuji, the Indian Minister of the Omani Minister of Commerce, His Excellency Dr. Ali bin Masood Al-Sanedi, he spoke about chartered accountants for more than 10 minutes in that program. And he was praising Indian chartered accountants that how they organized that program, which was like not something relating to accounts and finance, but promoting the trade between these two countries. So I really take pride, like for our chapter, Muscat chapter of ICAI, to be the first ever overseas chapter which organized this kind of a program way back, I mean, more than 2.5 years back. And now, like we have got this recognition that all overseas chapters will be treated at par with CII and FICCI. So, I mean, with that, because Ravi, I have linked my poem which you wanted with this only. So when the Indian company's delegation came to Oman, they were amazed looking at the infrastructure in Oman. And they were saying, you know, you guys are lucky so that you live here. So I told him something which I later on jotted down in form of a poem. So what I told him, if my friend Abdul Rahman is there, Abdul Rahman, I will explain this in Arabic to you when we meet. So this will be in Hindi. So bear with us, Abdul Rahman. Abdul Rahman is a very good friend, and his friend, His Excellency Dr. Nasser Al-Rawahi, has always been a patronage to us. So what I told the Indian delegation that इस दुनिया के लिए अपना जहान छोड़ आए हैं. तो वो आप जो यहाँ देख रहे हो बड़ा खूबसूरत शहर है, तो हमने उसके लिए क्या खोया है. तो I told him कि इस दुनिया के लिए अपना जहान छोड़ आए हैं, हमारा भी है एक छोटा मकान छोड़ आए हैं. इस दुनिया के लिए अपना जहान छोड़ आए हैं, हमारा भी है एक छोटा मकान छोड़ आए हैं. जब आ रहे थे, याद कीजिए, हम सब जब आ रहे थे इंडिया छोड़ के और प्लेन में बैठे थे पहली बार, तो जब आ रहे थे तो आंखों में आंसू लाए थे, क्योंकि मेरी तो आंखें नम हो गई थी अपनी मातृभूमि को छोड़ते हुए, कि जब आ रहे थे तो आंखों में आंसू लाए थे. अरे यहाँ पे जिस्म है वहां पे जान छोड़ाए, यहाँ पे जिस्म है वहां पे जान छोड़ाए हैं। सहरा को भी, कि सहरा को भी CM Mahavir Singh ji was saying that he look forward for our support, that we increase the economic engagement. अरे साहब हमारी जान है वहां पे, हम तो करेंगे ही और हम कर ही रहे हैं अपने, मतलब कि हम अपने इन दो देशों को और नजदीक लाएं। कि अभी ये सभी ट्रिब्यूट है हमारे हम लोगों को, कि सहरा को भी, कि सहरा जब हमारे इंडियन लेबरर ब्लू कॉलर वर्कर्स को मैं देखता हूँ धूप में काम करते रहते हैं, तो उनके लिए उनको बोलता हूँ कि सहरा को भी पसीने से बना देते हैं गुलशन, कि हम सहरा को भी गार्डन बना देते हैं, कि सहरा को भी पसीने से बना देते हैं गुलशन। अरे जहां गए वहां अपने निशान छोड़ आए हैं, हम जहां जाते हैं वहां अपने निशान छोड़ देते हैं, कि जहां गए वहां अपने निशान छोड़ आए हैं। ये कहानी है दो मुल्कों के दो चौराहों की, यहाँ राउंड अबाउट बोलते हैं और हमारे वहां चौराहा होता है, कि ये कहानी है दो मुल्कों के दो चौराहों की, यहाँ आबाद किया वहां वीरान छोड़ाए हैं, हमारा भी एक छोटा मकान छोड़ाए हैं। और हम कभी भी अकेले महसूस नहीं करते हैं, क्योंकि हम हमेशा सुनते हैं, मैंने ये पोयम सुनाई थी हमारे एक्स एम्बेसडर हिज एक्सीलेंसी इंद्रमणि पांडे जी को, कि आप जब भी हमसे बात करते हैं तो मुझे एक आवाज सुनाई देती है कि मैं हिंदुस्तान हूँ, हरदम तुम्हारे साथ में हूँ, कि हमने तुम्हें अकेले नहीं छोड़ा है यहाँ पे, कि मैं हिंदुस्तान हूँ, हरदम तुम्हारे साथ में हूँ, तुम्हारी रग में हूँ और तुम्हारी सांस में हूँ, तुम्हारे अंदाज में हूँ और तुम्हारी आवाज में हूँ, मैं तपती रेत में चिलचिलाती चौकियों में हूँ। ये एट्रीब्यूट करता हूँ हमारे सोल्जर्स को, जो कि ऐसे तपती चौकियों में हमारी हिफाजत करते हैं, कि तपती रेत में मैं चिलचिलाती चौकियों में हूँ, खून जम जाए जहां उन सर्द चोटियों में हूँ, वहां मुस्तैद उस जवान के मैं हाथ में हूँ, मैं हिंदुस्तान हूँ, हरदम तुम्हारे साथ में हूँ। और अभी हमारे देश के फ्रीडम फाइटर्स के लिए हिंदुस्तान की आवाज आती है, कि मुगल गार्डन के फूलों और फव्वारों में नहीं हूँ, मुगल गार्डन के, हिंदुस्तान मुगल गार्डन के फूलों फव्वारों में नहीं है, ये आवाज आती है, कि मुगल गार्डन के फूलों और फव्वारों में नहीं हूँ, कभी आ जाना मैं जलियां वाले बाग में हूँ, मैं हिंदुस्तान हूँ, हरदम तुम्हारे साथ में। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया रवि साहब फॉर गिविंग मी दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी टू स्पीक माय माइंड।
Excellent, Mubin bhai, excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Sir, now I request our past chairman Awadh Kishore ji to say a few words, and with this we will conclude. We will have a last formal vote of thanks. Awadh Kishore ji, are you there? Awadh Kishore ji. Awadh Kishore ji. Awadh Kishore ji. Are you able to mute yourself? Unmute yourself. Awadh Kishore ji. Okay. Awadh Kishore ji. No. No, I think he's not able to hear us. Okay, now I request Deepak Dikshit ji to say a few words, sir. Awadh Kishore ji, are you able to hear? Awadh Kishore ji? No. Oh. Okay, sir. Deepak Dikshit ji, can I request Deepak Dikshit ji to say some few words, sir? Deepak Dikshit ji.
Thank you, Ravi, and good morning, distinguished panelists and my fellow CAs here. I think we had a wonderful day.
Yeah. Oh, Awadh Kishore ji. Okay. Awadh Kishore ji.
Yeah, okay. I think let Mr. Awadh speak, Ravi.
Okay.
He's connected.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Awadh Kishore ji.
क्यों भेजा? वो किसी को मत भेजना।
Awadh ji, are you there, sir?
अवध जी आप म्यूट में, अवध जी।
अवध जी, unmute yourself, sir.
Hello?
Yes,
sir.
yes,
Hello.
Haji. Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, please go
Hello?
ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. अवध जी बोलिए.
Hello, Awad Kishore ji.
We can hear you, sir. You can say. Awad Kishore ji, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
I think we will.
PR Subramanian ji is there. PR Subramanian. Okay.
Now we will have Deepak Dixit ji.
Deepak Dixit ji बोलिए. Deepak Dixit हाँ. Deepak ji.
Well, really, it was a great day today, and a great occasion to celebrate our Independence Day the way Muscat chapter organized it. And really, we really had the benefit of Dr. Sanjeev Singhal dealing with a complex subject in a very simple way. So refreshing our knowledge of IFRS. And of course, we feel very proud, very proud of seeing one of our fellow CA brother in the foreign services and in the policy making in the foreign affairs of the country. I have come across dealing with some leading politicians, leading IAS officers or IPS from our profession, but really first time I'm seeing in foreign services, and it's really a moment for feeling very proud to see Sri Mahavir Singhvi ji as Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs. So really, we are all very happy and very proud of that. And starting from our founding chairman, Davis, our great friend and our guide, to the current chairman, Mr. C.A. Ramanand Prabhuji, we really had the privilege of having some great professionals leading this chapter. And that is why the chapter is amongst the top-rated chapter by the Institute of Chartered Accountants. And the support that we got from the local community, including His Excellency, who has been always very kind to the chapter and very supporting, and the dedicated team of our fellow colleagues, it really gives a lot of strength and a lot of motivation to even to the youngsters who are in the waiting. So I would like to thank the Muscat chapter. I would like to thank the chairperson, all past chairpersons, including the chapter had the distinction of contributing 3 chairpersons from the women group. So we have really, the chapter has seen our very talented women colleagues leading the profession here. And our thanks to our first person of the profession, CA Atul Gupta ji, Vice President, and our council member, Dr. Sanjeev Singhal ji, for being with us. Really, it has been worth, I think, one of my colleagues said, seeing about 70 delegates attending. I think this, not only this, the 70 delegates are the beneficiary of attending today's meeting, today's webinar, but really those people who have not attended, they have missed a great event. So thank you very much, Chairman, Muscat Chapter, Chairman CPE Committee, Mr. Ravi Devara.
Thank you, sir.
And all Muscat Committee members, Managing Committee members, for organizing such great event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Deepak Dixit ji, for all your support and your guidance and advice from time to time for Muscat chapter. to take strength to strength. Thank you very much once again from the bottom of the heart, Deepak Dikshit ji.
Awad Kishore ji, you would like to say, sir? Awad Kishore ji, are you able to hear? Awad Kishore ji. Awad ji, see Awad ji. Yeah.
आपसे कुछ पूछ सकता है? थाउजेंड या लैक्स ना कौन सा अच्छा होगा?
Awad ji,
कौन सा ज्यादा है? हाँ ज्यादा.
I think Awad ji is not there, maybe. Awad ji. Okay, we'll ask for PR Subramanian ji to say some few words, sir. PR Subramanian ji.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Can speak now?
Yes, sir,
Please.
Thank you, Ravi and Prabhu.
Yes.
A great event. I would say that this is one of the best times that COVID has taught us what independence is. And celebrating Independence Day after realizing what COVID has taught us, it really makes a lot of sense. Independence with a lot of responsibility. You have to be responsible for your independence. That's really great day for us, and it's a fantastic event organized. Mubinji, you have always been good in connecting from the lowest unit to the greatest unit, from Charahe to country. That's great, man. That you have done fantastic.
सर आपसे बहुत कुछ सीखा है सर.
You have been tremendous. You have been tremendous. Good.
Okay,
and I should say what Davis ji has started, we have all continued, and we have brought to this level, and it will go. I'm sure it will go much beyond this. Very great days. Deepak Dikshit ji, you have been always guide, and I think you have been a great support for the Muscat chapter. Thank you, Dikshit ji, and thank everybody for this wonderful event.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, PR Subramanian ji. You always been our support, and thank you, Mubin Bhai. You take us from Oman to India, and touch our heart and real sentiments of Independence Day in true spirit. Thank you very much, Mubin Bhai, for your shari. We really thoroughly enjoyed. I'm sure all of our members enjoyed, and you will be. It is a memorable event. Thank you very much, Mubin Bhai.
So nice of you, sir. Thanks for giving me an opportunity.
Yeah. Now I request CA Sajeev Surendra ji to say formal vote of thanks. Mr. Awad ji, are you there? Awad ji is not there, I think. No issues. We'll conclude this event with the vote of thanks by CA Sajeev Surendra ji. Sajeev Surendra ji, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ravi ji. Thank you, Ravi ji. It's my pleasure to extend formal vote of thanks on behalf of members of the Muscat chapter, past chairperson and committee members, and the present committee members. We thank H.C. Nasser Hamoud Al-Rawahi, ex-deputy chairman, state audit, for his gracious presence and valuable time. Also thank Mr. Abdul Rahman Al-Rawahi for his presence and wishes on Independence Day. We thank Sri Mahavir Singhji, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, India, for his presence and kind words on the various efforts being made by Government of India to overcome the present challenges. We thank C. Adil Kumar ji, President ICAI, for his presence and keynote address on ICAI efforts and its continuous support to CA fraternity in India and abroad. We thank CA Nihar Jambusaria ji, Vice President ICAI, for his presence and kind words and his continuous support. We thank CA Sanjeev Singhal ji for his detailed and informative presentation on IFRS updates for the benefit of the members of Muscat chapter. We also thank the past chairpersons of Muscat chapter, especially our founder chairman Davis Kalugaran ji, for his motivating words to our members and the committee. Also, I thank Mubin Khan ji for his few words and the poem. Also, I thank Ashwini ji for her song on the special day. Also, the PRSG for his words, all for his words, and all past chairmen their presence and continued support. Also, I thank Deepak Dixitji, the senior member in the profession, for his continued support and presence. We thank CBFS, our sponsors, for the continued support and patronage for all the efforts and activities of Muscat chapter of ICAI. We thank all the members of the Muscat chapter ICAI for the continuous support and the presence. Last but not least, all the efforts of the management committee members to make this event happen. And once again, I wish you all happy Independence Day. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Sajeev ji. Sir, we conclude this event with this note. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.